At the beginning of the 17th century, Europe was living through a period of remarkable curiosity. New lands had just been mapped, new stars observed, and ingenious devices were being invented in workshops that smelled of metal, wood, and oil. Among the figures who stood out in this age of experiment was Cornelis Drebbel, a Dutch inventor whose mind never seemed to rest. Today, he is remembered mostly for his pioneering submarine, launched in the Thames around 1620. But his imagination reached far beyond underwater navigation. One of his lesser-known creations was a portable water clock, a hybrid between a traditional hourglass and the new mechanical clocks that were slowly conquering Europe. Water clocks were among the most ancient instruments for measuring time. In Egypt, Greece, and China, they had marked the hours for millennia, relying on the steady dripping of water from one container to another. The main problem was accuracy. Changes in temperature, pressure, or even a slightly clogged hole could alter the flow, making them unreliable. That is why, by Drebbel's time, they were considered outdated curiosities. But Drebbel was not a man who accepted limitations easily. His portable water clock introduced an ingenious system of controlled flow. Instead of letting the water drip freely, he designed mechanisms that regulated the pressure and kept the movement regular so that time could be measured with greater stability. The idea was to combine the predictability of a mechanical balance with the natural flow of liquid. What made this invention truly unusual was its portability. Most earlier water clocks were large and stationary, often built into public squares or temples. Drebbel miniaturized the concept, producing an object that could be carried, displayed, and perhaps even used as a curiosity during travel. In this sense, it stood halfway between a scientific instrument and a showpiece, something that reflected both utility and wonder. And yet, the device never spread widely. The reason lies in the competition. Mechanical clocks, based on gears and springs, were advancing rapidly. They were becoming not only more accurate, but also more compact, eventually leading to the first pocket watches. Against this evolution, Drebbel's hybrid remained more of a fascinating experiment than a practical alternative. Still, the very fact that he tried shows us something about the spirit of the time. The early 1600s were an era when boundaries were blurred, between science and magic, between art and engineering, between utility and spectacle. Inventors like Drebbel were not only trying to solve practical problems, but also to astonish, to challenge expectations, and to explore what was possible. Looking back, his portable water clock appears as a small chapter in the long history of timekeeping. But it embodies the same restless energy that drove so many of the great innovations of the 17th century. It reminds us that progress is not a straight line. It is filled with attempts, with half-forgotten devices, with ideas that open doors even when they do not dominate the future. Cornelis Drebbel's water clock may never have replaced mechanical watches, but it still deserves a place in the gallery of technological imagination. It is a symbol of an age when every drop of water, every grain of sand, and every moving gear could become the starting point for invention. And in that sense, it is as valuable as the machines that did change history, because it shows us how far human curiosity was willing to go.